Hi, hello there. Welcome back to Coding 101. On this video lecture or video demonstration, I'm going to show you how to create a simple C++ program that is implemented using a C++ functions. Let's start. So, problem statement. So we are going to create a C++ program that would ask the user to enter the length and the width of a rectangle, display the area and the perimeter. So this time, we will be using functions to handle the user input, computing the area, and computing the perimeter. So we will be using our program that we used on the first demonstration. Okay, so let me load my C++ here. All right. So the only difference is we are going to implement it using functions. Okay. So there would be functions to handle the user input, the computation of the area, and the computation of the perimeter. So if you will observe, you might be familiar with the code here. Okay. So this is the same code that we used on the first demonstration. You can also find the code on the description below the video. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so what are the functions in C++ program? So basically, a function is logically grouped set of statements that perform specific tasks. So in C++ program, a function is created to achieve something. Okay, every C++ program has at least one function, and that is the main function here. Okay, where the execution of the program starts, it is a mandatory function in C++. Okay, but what are some of the advantages of function? So some of the advantages of using functions are basically to avoid repetition of codes. It increases program readability. It divides a complex problem into simpler ones, reduces chances of error, and modifying a program becomes easier by using function. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we are going to convert this program here into a function. Okay, or a program that uses a function. Okay, so this is the exact file that we use in our first demonstration. Okay, so it's just that we need to implement this program using functions. So let me save this as demo02. Okay, so DSA demo2. That's it. All right. So to start with, first of course is we need to define the function. Okay, so before the function main, we have to have a what you call function prototypes. So let me have function prototypes here. Okay, so we'll be needing three functions. Basically, the first function is to handle the user inputs. The next one would be to compute for the area, and the third function is to compute for the perimeter. Now let us create our first function prototype, and that is I have void ask user. So for the ask user, I need two parameters. Okay, so that is for the length and the width. So double. Okay, let me use function passing by reference here. Okay, and then you've got another one, double for the width. So you've got the length and the width. Okay, so next would be the next function. Let's call it say double get area. All right, so I have two parameters for this, for the length and the width. So let me just have double. Anyway, we are going to have the function implementation at the bottom. Next would be the third function would be double get area. We already have get area. That would be perimeter. So double get perimeter. We have two parameters here. So you've got double and then double. So the last two functions here, get area and get perimeter, should use function passing by values. Well, the first one should use function passing by reference. Okay. Next. So the next thing to do is to implement those functions. So let's start with the function implementation. Now for the function implementation, so take note that these are just prototypes here. So let me just copy it because we need to implement it here. Okay. So for the implementation, there is no semicolon for each of the functions. So let us remove all of those. Okay. And let me implement the function based on the requirement. So the first one would be void ask user. So let me have here begin. Okay. So for the ask user, take note, we have this output here. So let me just cut it here and then paste here inside the ask user. So we have a function to hold the user input. Okay. So that is when we call the ask user. So that would display the screen, enter length, and then enter width. All right. So that is the first function, ask user. So we removed it from the main function. So the next one would be to get the area. So let us implement this. So you've got return 0 here since we use their double. Return 0 and then end. Okay. Now what do we have here? So basically, we need to display the area. So let me just copy it, paste it here. So see out area. So the area can be computed using the length times the width. Okay. And double, let me have a variable here, L, and say double W. Okay. Now for the ask user, let me use here double L also and double W. All right. So it is optional to have a variable here. Actually, you can remove this. Okay, so you could have just a double and then place the value or the variable instead on the implementation. All right. Next, so as what I'm saying, on the get area, so see out area, display length times width. That's how we get the value of the area. Next, for the perimeter, okay, so we'll begin. You've got return 0 there and then end. All right. Now we want to display the perimeter using this function. So let me just remove it there and then copy it here. So this time we need to have this instead of perimeter. So this would be see out. Okay. So twice the length, which is L. Okay. Plus, say you've got there twice the width, which is W. So I have to have a variable, a local variable here, L and W. Okay. Now, I have here 3 functions. Okay. So you've got the ask user implementation, the get area implementation, and the get perimeter implementation. So the next thing is we need to go back to our main function. Okay. So let me remove this. All we need to do here is to call those functions implemented. So at first, we don't need also this area and perimeter here. So we need, of course, the length and the width. Okay. Now, when we run this program, so take note that it starts the execution on the main function. And on the main function, we are going to run ask user. When it is called on the main function, it will go to the ask user function and execute the code. So enter length, enter width. So let's do that. So something like, okay, so I have to use the function ask user to get the input from the user for the length and the width. So say I have here length and the width. Okay. Now to test it, let's compile this one. Okay. So you've got 2 errors there, undeclared length and width. Where is that? So we forgot to change this. Take note that we only use L here This should be L and this should be W here. Okay, so take note that length and width variable here are local to the main function. That is why it is not recognized or undeclared under the ask user. So I have here L and W. Okay, so again, compile. All right, so we are going to test this code. Okay, so take note that I have here ask user. So it is expected that when we run this program, it will execute the ask user there. Okay, so let's run this. So you'll have this. Okay, enter length, say 5, enter width. So definitely, it will not compute for the area and the perimeter because we have not yet get these values 5 and 2 here forwarded to this function. Now let's move on. Okay, now that we have the value of the length and the width, okay, and that was forwarded, length forwarded to L and width forwarded to W here. So we can call the get area to compute for the area. So that would be get area here, okay, and then length, okay, and then the width. Okay, and also let's get the perimeter, length, and the width. Okay, so we are expecting the same output as that of the first demonstration. This time, we are using functions. Okay, you've got function passing by reference here and function passing by values here on the get area and get perimeter. Okay, now let's run it. Compile. Okay, run. Here we go. Okay, again, when we execute the program, it starts the execution on the main function. So on the main function, we call the ask user. That's why we have enter length here and enter width. So afterwards, okay, it will execute the next line, which is get area. And the get area states that 5 and 2 will be passed to L and W as values. And then that would return length times width here. So area, length times width. So you've got 10. All right. And then you are calling the get perimeter here. Okay, passing length and width values to L and W here. And that would return twice the L plus twice the width would yield to 14. Okay, so again, this is the exact program that we used on the first demo. It's just that we implemented functions or the use of functions on this code. All right, so you can find the code used on this demonstration on the description of the video. So you could download it and try it for yourself. Okay, so that's it for this video demonstration, and see you on the next video.